Welcome in, y'all. Timeshare Clarence. First and foremost, want to thank God for waking me up this morning, bless me with another day, another opportunity to work towards becoming the man I desire to be. I don't even know what today is. I think it's the 12th. It's like 12th or the 13th. And I don't have my Apple Watch on to check. So, anyway, so this is just gonna be random thoughts, and I figured this will help me a lot because a lot of stuff I think about I'll forget, even if I want to talk about it, because my mind just wander all over the place. And by the time I think of one thing that's meaningful, then that's gonna just spiral into a half dozen other things that are all just as meaningful, and just as complex for me to try to work through or explain. So with that being said, yesterday I made a mistake because I accidentally hit record when I was putting my phone in the little selfie stick stand to record. So I just went with it, but it didn't turn out too bad. And I just thought about, that's something I could just do for myself, and we'll see what happens. So the random thoughts, this isn't something that's gonna be focused on one thing or another. It's just, as I was going through my walk this morning, just progression through different things, connecting dots. So when I actually do my message, because I'm gonna start doing my little message for the day, which today that's going to be about God again. Just that I don't need to believe in his perfection to believe in his power and all the evidence of his power in my life. And then also basically why I have that position and how I arrived to getting to the position that I am on, that as far as adopting that as a belief, or realizing that that is a belief that I hold that created a lot of conflict and therefore has removed a lot of conflict and opened a lot of doors for me personally to make some progress in other areas. And I can see that already. So I'm gonna talk about that. But right now, the first thing is I was just thinking about perspective, right? Specifically from interaction with people. And I guess how I got to this thought was trying to really process how different relationships are that I have, and how different people's opinion of me is, with different people that I've dealt with consistently, or some people that I haven't. But understanding my behavior, how it's going to impact the relationships I create and maintain, and also influence the changes that I feel like I need to make. So that's where this all started, and it winded around to me realizing that my opinion of my grandfather is just my opinion. It's not everybody's opinion. Now, I feel like it's a lot of people that have very similar opinions, but not just with my grandfather. In a lot of situations, I feel like I have a unique opinion because I have a unique perspective, and so it went all around to that. So started off me thinking about the people that I would consider friends, and the difference in how I treat them and how I treat people that I don't consider friends. And I realized it's really not that much different. So I treat most people the same. But the people that respond to it in a positive way and then therefore have some kind of desire to develop a relationship, those people become my friends. But I'm the same friend to everybody. And then I can also understand why that would make some people not want to be my friend. Because if you just met somebody and they're more than willing to tell you how they feel about anything, a lot of people, that's too much. If you, like me being helpful at work, I would view that as a positive thing, and a lot of people view that as a positive thing. Before I left work the other day, one of my coworkers stopped me. Now she's never worked in sales, but she's coming to the sales floor, and she stopped me and asked me if she could pick my brain. And even in the process, one of the managers there, came over and told, because she asked him as well, but he was like, nah, you better off doing it with Clarence, because like that's who helped me when I came to the sales. And it's a lot of people that I helped, and then even on the way out, we ran into somebody else that I helped. And when I think about it, these people that I ran into after I was asked to help, both of those people, the manager and the one in marketing, I helped. And both of those people, I would say we have a relationship that extends beyond being co-workers, because they chose to develop that relationship with me. Now, it's to two different extents, because I would say I'm a lot closer with one than the other, but I do feel like in both situations, we both see each other as more than a coworker, at least a homie, and in one situation, a close friend. But it's not because of me, it's because of them. Because I help everybody. It's just that everybody doesn't appreciate it, and everybody doesn't necessarily value it or benefit from it enough for them to feel a desire to do anything beyond take the advice that I gave them and express, because everybody does express gratitude. So some people, that's as far as they took it. Some people, it went farther, but like for my part of it, it's the same regardless. So I was thinking about that. I don't know how much we realize, like, because I think most people feel like we choose our friends. But I don't know that that's necessarily how I see it at this point. I kind of felt like we choose our behavior, and then our friends are the people that choose to value and appreciate that behavior and whatever your presence or benefit is to them. And then if it's both of y'all feel the same way and it's mutual, then a friendship or relationship will develop. But and then I do see situations where people do exhibit different behavior to influence developing relationships. I don't do that. Like, I really don't. I behave the same way, and the people that rock with it. If I get enough feedback about my behavior that I feel like is having a negative impact on relationships or situations that I see value in or want to develop, maintain, or even improve, right? Then I'm gonna address that behavior, but I can only get off of feedback, and everybody feedback isn't valuable. The valuable feedback comes from the people that you have these relationships with that truly want the best for you. So I do listen to a lot of advice, and also if somebody values my opinion, perspective, advice, whatever it is, then I'm gonna put it right here because it's there. Like whoever wants it has access to it, but ultimately this is me. So I was thinking about that, And that led me to like thinking about romantic relationships and how probably whatever woman that I'm with feels like, I mean, she likes the treatment, the behavior, whatever, but she probably feel because of the way she's treated that it means I care or I'm interested or whatever, because the way I behave is just, it's the same, but it's not necessarily personal. And that sort of personal stuff, it doesn't really come until later because I'm expressive. So that's not special. That's not unique or significant in a situation. I'm honest. I'm upfront. I have realistic expectations. I try to communicate for understanding versus agreement. I really genuinely go in any situation trying to understand the other person's position and then also try to offer my opinion as that, right? Not something that they need to do, not something that would be better for them, simply whoever it is, right? This is my position or opinion on that situation. And if it's something I would recommend, I would. And but it's not like you need to do this. It's just, that's my opinion. So just like the military, my opinion is if you have kids or if you're a young person, go to the military. If you're not about to have so much money where you never have to worry about money again, go to the military. It can't hurt. It can only add to it. So anyway, cycling through all this stuff, so it's making me look at scenarios where I've offered someone my opinion and they didn't really appreciate it. They were offended by it. And then I really genuinely like was considering, was I overstepping? Or like, was it something wrong with them? Or like, what was the case? Because all I did was, and it wasn't even like, you should do this. It was like, oh, this is how I deal with that. It's just sharing. But that person was like offended. A lot of other people were grateful. So was my behavior different? No. If I see somebody and we don't gotta be friends or nothing else, but I think a lot. I think a lot more than most people about very specific things, and timeshare is one of those things. And another one of those things is how to communicate effectively and get people to understand what I'm saying. So if I can offer some more information, then use it or don't use it. Because that's our choice. And that's always the situation. So I'm always welcome to feedback. I don't always take it. I don't expect people to always take it. But if I see somebody I feel like I can help, then I'll share without trying to be pushy or whatever. So that's just me. So that's not special or significant. So the very small circle that I have, those people are becoming my tribe, and what's going on with those people is becoming more and more relevant and important to me to see if it's anything that I can do to provide a benefit for the people that I care about. And like, this is one of those things. This started off to be just for my kids, but the more I learn from my kids, the more I learn from looking back at my past, the more I learn from all of these different scenarios that I play out in my head and try to understand, the more I understand. Like, we all typically at some point are going through similar things, sometimes the same things. And one of the biggest benefits of a friendship is simply that person sharing their perspective just for you to see something a different way, or perhaps make you think about something a different way, because I get that all of the time. I mean, all of the time. When I'm talking to friends or family, like, they be dropping jewels whether they know it or not. And a lot of times it coincides with what my own natural thought process would get me to. But sometimes it's like, man, I would have never considered that. And there's so much value in that. So that's all this is. So how did it get to my grandfather? Because I'm single, and I was thinking about a perfect day for me and how much I have to do. But at the same time, because I do it on a regular basis, it's not like it's rarely ever a lot. It just has to be done. Like, if I go to bed, I don't make the kids go to bed, because I don't really want the kids going to bed when I go to bed, because I know they're gonna sleep in later. So it's not gonna work, right? So sometimes in the morning when I get up, then it's gonna be crumbs, or a plate or cup or whatever on the table. Like, it take 2 minutes, 3 minutes to wipe the table off, wipe the chairs off, sweep up, whatever, because it's not like the whole entire floor messy. They got crumbs in a certain area. It's very easy to see, but I'm not about to be stressing off that. Like, it take a few seconds. But throughout the day, it's a lot of little things that I think in the past I would let annoy me, just because I felt like I'm doing everything. And I felt like it was a lot of other people that should be contributing, and it just wasn't fair. Like, now with my younger kids, it's so easy. Like, it's so easy to parent them. Like, we spend time, we have real conversations, and then they do what they do. I feel like they are learning responsibility, effective communication, like the lessons in life that are appropriate for them to be learning at this age, as much as possible. So, like, we chilling. But yeah, I do a lot more than I did. I do a lot more now than I do when they're not here. But that's not necessarily bad, because what I realized is that actually makes me better. And it makes my situation better, because if the kids here, I gotta clean up. If it's just me, I don't really mess up anything. So it's like the kids make it where I have to clean up, because the stuff that's out of place is just ridiculous, right? But if they weren't here, it wouldn't get like that. And I would clean up a lot less, right? I would end up going to where it got worse, not than it is with them here, but like worse than it'll ever get now. Like, with them being here, it'll never get that bad, because I have to do it every day, because our eyes work different and I can't just sit there and keep walking past stuff on my floor when I can get the broom and the dustpan and it take 2 seconds to sweep it up. So I clean a lot more, but it's not like it's some crazy stuff. So my apartment is cleaner, it's more organized, it's everything, because the kids are here. If they weren't here, it wouldn't be that way. Same thing with laundry. I gotta wash. Like, it's stuff that I have to stay on top of because they're here, but it's stuff that I should be doing anyway. So they just make me do it more consistently, which is easier for me, is better for me. It doesn't bother me. So I realized that having my kids makes everything about my situation better. And then I thought about how I'm really trying to be mindful of creating negative situations, like talking to them to make them feel bad, or being on them so much or in a certain way that makes them feel like they can't do anything right. Like, I don't want to do that. And then I was thinking about my desire to change the way that I communicate with my kids, because I feel like I communicate with my kids like they adults. And then I started questioning, like, is that really wrong though? If they can, if they can process it, because probably one of the reasons that I speak to my kids that way is because my dad spoke to me that way. And if I'm being real, it was a huge benefit. Like, there is no way that I would look at life or the situations I've been through or whatever else and not be able to say that what my dad told me made sense, because it did. Now, sometimes it took me a while to get the perspective to really benefit or apply it, but nah, they can hear it and they need to hear it. So I was thinking about that, about how I talk to my kids is probably a result of how my dad talked to me. And then that made me think about how my grandfather talked to me and what I had heard, and then how I talk to my kids and what I don't like. So, and then finally tying it back to the biggest thing is like this barrier that's been removed just by feeling like it's okay for God not to be perfect. Like, because if I ain't gotta view him as perfect and I ain't gotta question all of these things, and I can just appreciate his greatness and let him work, then that's freeing for me. But then it started applying to everything else. Like, because my grandfather meant so much to me, did I see things differently than they were? Because I talk about us being in the matrix and wanting to, refusing to accept reality. I'm not gonna fight about whether or not my grandfather was loud. He was. I've heard conversations about how some other people felt like he was very mean to me. And I've said before, I never felt like my grandfather was mean to me. The way my grandfather talked to me never bothered me. I also said I don't really recall my dad ever yelling at me. And then I really started thinking about the way that my dad talks. Because some people feel like he was yelling at me. Probably. I just didn't feel that way. So I got conditioned to accept the way that my dad talks. And I didn't have nobody telling me it was anything wrong with it. In reality, I think the things that I heard, and I gotta say again, it's not going off of a lot of experiences or interactions, but from what I recall, it's way more likely for a woman in a family to be yelling and screaming and cursing and smacking kids around than any of the men. But the way the men talk, the people consider them mean or assholes or this or that based off the way that they talk. And I'm not disputing that people can view it that way, but I'm only speaking to like how I realize after accepting that God ain't gotta be perfect, that sometimes we try to make other people perfect. And I still don't feel like it's not gonna change my feelings, but it does provide me a different perspective that maybe the way that my grandfather talked to me wasn't cool, but because I didn't have a problem with it, then that registered to me, even though it's something that wasn't right, because it never registered to me that it wasn't right, even if I do it myself, I don't see it until I saw it. And I did see it. And like I saw a video, we went out, we was playing putt-putt golf. And I'm just like barking orders, you know what I mean? Go over there, like hit the thing. And it's just like, man, if that's what people saw, which in reality, that is in all likelihood what people saw, I understand why people think my grandfather was mean to me. And then I do feel like because I didn't view it as mean, then it was easy for me to be mean because I didn't really understand it was mean. So I got all of the feedback from that, and I worked very hard to be a different person. But it still probably comes from the fact that my dad talked a certain way, and it wasn't as bad as my grandfather. So I think he tried to improve on the way that he talked to us based off he probably wasn't happy with how my grandfather talked to him. But then, like, the way my dad talked to us, I got that, plus I got my grandfather. Now I feel like I got a better version of my grandfather, but it still was there, and it never bothered me. So I didn't realize how much it bothered other people. So that's also a part of dealing with me. At times, it's a disconnect because, like, I don't even have to be mad. That's just how I've always been talked to from men. Like, but I've never felt any kind of way about how any man in my life has talked to me. I only ever felt some kind of way if they refused to listen, or, you know, we're doing something. So I gave examples of that. You know, me and my grandfather had a disagreement about, you know, getting my oil changed. He was telling me it's time I need to get my oil changed. I was like, it's not. Like, but the reason I was saying it's not, he's talking from his experience, and I'm talking from, man, I just bought this truck and I read the manual because I don't know shit about trucks. So when I first started driving, I didn't know shit about cars. Like, I almost got my engine locked up because, like, I ain't changed the oil. I didn't know I needed to change the oil. Ain't nobody told me I needed to change the oil, right? So my first oil change, like, I have been driving that car way over the mileage. But because that happened, then it's something I always try to make sure that I never put myself in that situation again. So if I get a car, I'm gonna make sure I know what the tire pressure is supposed to be. I'm gonna make sure that I keep up on the maintenance on any car that I have, because if I have a car, it's only one purpose, and it needs to be reliable. So, but my point is, I wasn't just winging it. Like, but he wasn't even open to listen, and that's what annoyed me about it. It's cause, like, dude, I hear you, and I know why you're saying what you're saying, but can you just fucking listen to me so I can tell you why I'm saying what I'm saying? Like, that's the only time, like, we got into it. And then the other time, I don't feel like we got into it. I just had to tell him. But even when I told him, it wasn't a fight. My grandfather told me he felt like I was trying to stare him down. I'm like, man, I'm looking in your eye like you told me to. And that was it, right? So that's how I got around to my grandfather, because it's a lot of my dad in me, it's a lot of my grandfather in me, and I gotta think a lot about how that impacts how I parent my children, and how I want to parent my children, and if it's stuff that I need to change, like taking a real good look at reality. Like, don't keep myself living in the matrix either, refusing to accept some things because, refusing to accept some things because I didn't think about it that way, or I didn't see it that way. Well, you know, it's just not about me. So anyway, that was just my random thoughts from this morning. I got to look at everything without the lens of, for these people to be this impactful in my life, for these people to mean so much to me, they need to be great people, and just start being able to accept it the same way that I can with God, right? Because that's the catalyst for all of this, is removing the rose-colored glasses from my interactions with people. Being able to say, like, even though this person meant so much to me, even though this person contributed so much to me being who I am, like, there were things about this person that were messed up. So if I can do that, and I can look at everything through that lens, then it can help me more identify some things, that some beliefs that maybe are completely, and I feel like I've already been doing that, but now I feel like it's just so much more material to go through, because I got to go back through everything. I got to look at everything I'm doing now, and then I also have to go back and revisit some things that having a different understanding would shift my perspective. So that's what it is. And still, George Washington the Great. I don't, like, whatever it is, my grandfather was that dude. I know I would not be close to the man that I am without him. And again, I give Clarence his credit too. Like, it's not one or the other. It's a combination of a bunch of people. But yeah, like, even if, I mean, I feel like I always saw my grandfather, and I just started seeing him more with my dad. But man, them dudes was really trying to make sure that I succeeded. Like, everything they told me really was about, you need to know this so you can overcome this. You need to know this so you can deal with this. So you need to know this so this doesn't derail you. You need to know these things for you to go be better than us. And I appreciate it. So anyway, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Until next time, Timeshare Clarence. Peace.